Hey, I don't know if anyone's actually watching this yet. There we go, Mr. Squirrel Sniper. Hello, hello. Welcome. I hopefully get a couple of people come and watch. But the main topic of today's little sermon is going to be on the Grail, Holy Grail, and the from Celtic myth to Christian symbol. Well, there's a lot in there that it won't cover, which I found, which not many people seem to have found. So, but there you go, Tony. Here we go. Cheers, bro. How's everyone been today? It's been bloody muggy here. Not very nice at all, really. Too hot for me. Actually, I might go and fill up my bottle of water quickly while I'm waiting for some people to turn up. If anyone does turn up, it might just be us. Be back one sec. Right, there you go. I'll give it a couple more minutes because you might have a couple of people come in. But pretty interesting stuff. So I bought this book. I bought this book in Glastonbury, which is about right, considering the story of the Grail. 20 quid. First good rain. Yeah, it rained here as well. I left my fucking tent out, and where I'd been getting condensation, I didn't want to pack it up. I wanted to put it away today, and it was like a fucking paddling pool. But so this Paradise thing, I bought this book in Glastonbury. I've had it for a while, and I haven't really done enough. I haven't done enough reading of it, to be fair. We got two people. Hello, two. And as with all books, or a lot of books, I seem to pick up in charity shops. People put little notes in them. Someone was kind enough to bookmark it. Here, I was saying, Percival, look up Fisher King. So, a little bit of sort of information about the Paradise and the Holy Grail. Where I live in Somerset, a place called Burnham-on-Sea, there is a little spot. There was a little, I don't know how big, say a square mile hamlet, maybe not even quite a square mile hamlet, called Paradise. The main road in and out of Burnham was called Paradise Road, and it was known as a place. And slowly but surely, it's been sort of like rubbed off the map, as it were. So that the Paradise Road is now called Barrow Road, which is the next village down. And there's no Paradise. There's a little plaque which I put up on one of my posts, and that's about it. But I think it needs a lot more coverage, at least by. Well, the weird thing is, my mum actually volunteers in the local tourist information office, and there's nothing about it in there. I said to her before, and she said, "No, there's nothing. Literally nothing." And the stuff I've been coming up with, it like if you're interested in Holy Grail, King Arthur, Joseph, Mary Magdalene, Jesus, all those things. I mean, they're pretty popular subject. I mean, lots of people seem to enjoy the whole Grail quest. I mean, quite a lot of people, in all honesty, seem to be quite interested in the story of Jesus. There you go. So the person's put here, well, brief outline of to what my research had brought me to the point to was that the first ever writing of Joseph Arimathea, who is believed to be Mary, Jesus' mum Mary, not Mary Magdalene, her uncle. So it's Jesus' great uncle, but we can't take that as total verbatim because there's so many different theories behind Jesus, and could have been his brother for all we know. So I looked it up, and the first sort of story of Joseph was by a Norman baron called Robert de Boron. And where this person's put Parzival, so Parzival was like Percival, and he was one of the Knights of the Round Table. And it says it here in several ways. So now, this is slightly different. The Quest del Saint Graal, which means the quest of the Holy Grail, presents an antithesis to the German masterpiece of The Parzival by Wolfram von Eschenbach. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, and also that there's a thing called Amorica, which I don't know if you know about that, Tony, but Amorica is potentially what they call America, but I'm not too sure about that. The one composed in lucid French prose, the other in German-rimmed couplets, tending at times to eccentricity and obscurity of expression. Amaru Khan's, yeah, there you go. One can find its geographical interest except at the close to Arthur's Britain, the other spreading across nearly every Christian land and extending eastwards to Baghdad and the land of Prester John. Prester John is something else completely. Supposed to be like a king and had a massive lands, but that's another one to go into on another day. The one extolling a life of celibacy and mystic contemplation, the other setting forth a more secular but no less Christian ideal, which combined trust in God and chivalric obligations and the strong ties of marriage and family. Well, that's one thing that they are doing their level best to cut all ties to marriage and family. So there you go. But I digress on that one. So as I look through it, it says here the poem. The poem was composed between 1200 and 1210 and was therefore roughly contemporary with Robert de Boron's Joseph. The River Brue, yes, mate. That's really weird how you just said the River Brue. Where did that come up? Where did you get that one from? Because I don't know if I missed something on that one, but the River Brue is literally. It's a quick into his mindset. Well, Tony's American, but we'll have him as a Brit because he knows a lot about. He probably knows more about the topography of the landscape of Britain than most British people. So, well done, Tony Taylor, on that one. But yeah, the River Brue. Well done, Squirrel, because a very kind lady who's connected with the other realm, shall we say, actually told me to start looking more. He did. He went to Avalon. She said start looking more into the River Brue, and the River Brue is just over there, literally not even, I don't know, 400 meters over that way. River Brue is. But originally, Where the Paradise Dairies is, or was, on the Paradise Road in Paradise, the square mile, it was there was a river called the River Seeger, and that now has been sort of closed down into a irrigation ditch called the Brent Broad. But I don't know if I'll be able to show you on this. There, I showed Tony the LiDAR, and it's quite a big river. And in the story, it says that Joseph sojourned at Paradise, which means he had a brief stay. So I think they would have come in on the river there, landed, but then the River Seeger, which is now like silted over, and in fact the golf course I talk about is actually the very beginning of the golf course. Hey Sam Conno, thanks mate, nice to see you. The very beginning of the golf course, literally, so the clubhouse and the first tee is where the River Seeger was. And I'll get it up on here now because it is important in the whole story, because the River Seeger never wouldn't have gone all the way to Glastonbury. It could have hooked up with the Brew, but if it didn't, the Brew is only literally a couple of miles further down from where the River Seeger was. So let's see if I can get it up quickly. Sorry about this. Is the production of this and how I am able to portray it to you, because I'm doing this on my phone. Oh, the halls of the Mani. Oh, don't get me started. I've been doing so much fascinating work and interesting work regarding the halls of Amenti and the hub gates and the arc gates and the star gates and all that sort of. Hey Tracy, how you doing, my love? All the, it is only a shroom stomp away, and actually up there on the Mendips, as I have, and many people can go and pick your own of around the end of October sort of time. JP, what's up? Anyway, let me get back on this one. Capture Burnham. Right. Well, this is good. 5 people. This is like 5 times. Oops. Oh, I don't even know. How do I make people spanners? I don't know how I'm gonna do it. How am I gonna do it? Hey, Tracy, do you know Squirrel? Hey, I like it. See, Tracy's a very friend of mine. Anyway, let's find Paradise. No, let's find the River Seeger. I've been trying to put something together for about 3 years on all the stuff I've been finding out, but each time it's kind of come to a skidding halt. Anything chats. Well, I'm glad I can quite happily say 2 of the nicest people I've met in over the last couple of years. So, so here we go. And now what are we going to be able to see? There we go. You see here? That is the old River Seeger, where it came in from the channel there. So it's quite a substantial river, but not big enough to go all the way to Glastonbury, and the River Brew picks up down there. Cheers, mate. Cheers, JP. So on the first depiction of it, apparently, was Robert de Boron's story, and when I first looked it up, it said in French, Histoire Saint Graal, and then in brackets it would say history of the Holy Grail. But if anyone, there we go, Tracy's a Glastonbury girl, an Avalon girl, Paradise in your mind, there you go. So I thought for myself, that doesn't say history, that says estuary. So I looked it up, and lo and behold, it said estuaries, Holy Grail. So the Bristol Channel, or the Severn Channel, or the Severn Sea, I don't know how I'm going to, let me just check this, view message. Yeah, I don't know why that won't allow that. 10 people, wow, this is amazing. Sorry, beautiful vessels. There you go. I've lost it now. So yeah, the river, the Severn, or the Bristol Channel, or the Severn Sea as they called it back then, that would have brought you straight up to Paradise, which is on the coast there in Somerset. and they'd have moved on from there. And there's hardly anything anywhere to tell you about this massive story and this potentially. Well, yeah, exactly. It's 5 likes, that'll do for me. That's usually 5 more than I usually get. So there's no, it's sort of almost been covered up, the whole thing. And I ask myself, why is it all being covered? Why? In a town which is predominantly a tourist place, have you not got a big thing about this connection with the Holy Grail, with Jesus, King Arthur, with everything else? Nothing. And as I was sort of doing a bit more 7 and 4, 8 and 5, more. I'm not sure about that. As I've been doing more and more research into Paradise, I started noticing landmarks are being built, and also there's a hill, which we call a hill, where Paradise Dairies is. If you look up, so as you look across, you see Brent Knoll, which was known as the Mount of Frogs. It's also in a Arthurian legend when some giants lived on Brent Knoll, and King Arthur slayed the giants. And it's also known as Mons Badicus, which is where they had a massive battle. Yeah, yes, mate, 100% right there. English Heritage and the National Trust have bought up everything. There ain't nowhere that's not worth having that they haven't got. And they make a good deal of money out of it as well. So you've got in the Paradise, the first sort of talking of Paradise, is supposedly the Garden of Eden. Well, I've probably got the best thing to look at for talking about the Garden of Eden or any other biblical thing. I've got a pretty good Bible here, the big book. This one, fucking big one. Look at that. My family Bible turned up. Squirrel knows a bit about this. It was in Sussex, where my family originate. Been all the way to America, and so I was obviously interested in it because Paradise and everything. So yeah, no, yours in there. So there we go. Bit of a Bible story. Oh, and the other thing, it's got a map showing the old world and everything there. And on the map, it clearly says Sabrina for the River Severn, because that was the Roman name for it. And the reason why it was called Sabrina is because the King of Wales was a man called King Lochran. He had a daughter called Sabrina, and her fella was a prince. The Romans chopped his head off, and she decided to do herself in because she was so upset, drowned herself in the river, and then she became the goddess. So Sabrina, if you go across the bridge in Welsh, it says Hafren, which is like yeah. Where's the renegade? Renegade master, and it is southwest of Sweden, definitely very southwest. But as it goes for the garden itself, well, this is a pretty old Bible, to be fair. I think it's like 1830 something. John Smith's Bible. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So I mean, it's already saying the face of the deep, so it's got to have something deep. Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, so there was already water. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, and it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. He called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. God said, "Let there be a firmament for all you flat earthers out there in the midst of the waters, and let divide the waters from the waters." God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land, dry land appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. So when I'm looking down, I could do the whole thing, but there's a lot here. In just chapter 1. So then we're going to move on to, here we go, right, chapter 2. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. On the seventh day, God ended his work, and he made which he made, and he rested on the seventh day, and his work which he made. So straight away, there's an instant bit of messing going on, because in England and America, I would imagine, which were anglicized countries, the seventh day is Sunday, but it's the seventh day, Saturday. It is Saturday, not Sunday. Sunday is the first day, which means, there you go. There's that is clarification for you. So, in Spanish, sábado means Saturday, which is Sabbath, seventh day. So straight away, I don't know if it's because of the Reformation and the Protestants. They changed it. So straight away, it's messed up with everything. So instantly, whatever we're told here about 7 days and what seventh day is, that's already wrong. Anyway, and the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And the Lord God planted a garden eastwards in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. Well, out of the ground the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life is also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now this is where it starts getting my connections with Paradise and Burnham are. It says here, a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from it was parted and became 4 heads. So that's 4 rivers, right? The name of the first is Pison. We break that up, you know what that means. That is which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there's gold. Well, that's interesting, because if you come out of Paradise, or into the Holy Grail estuary, straight away you hit to the northwest, you hit Wales, and Wales has got some of the finest gold and silver in Europe, if not the world. Used to be quite well known. And also, I do believe I heard somewhere along the lines that there was like a kind of gold rush in Wales at one point, because there's a fair bit of gold in Wales in the mountains. And the gold of that land is good. There is bdellium and the onyx stone. And the name of the second river is Gihon, the same as that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia. Now, that's quite a long way from where supposedly the Garden of Eden and Levant is, and why they're even talking about Ethiopia when you're in Palestine. There's obviously some serious, strong connection with Ethiopia, which we'll go on. We'll talk about that in a moment. The name of the third river is Hiddekel, that is which goeth toward the east of Assyria, And the fourth river is the Euphrates. And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. Now, so straight away, you've got a river which splits off into four. And where I live here in Somerset, if you include the River Seager from the main river, which is the River Severn, or Severn Channel, Bristol Channel, whatever you want to call it, you have got four rivers. You've got the River Axe, which is to the north, and apparently, from the work that Edmund Marriage done on Paradise, the Garden of Eden, they were the Blemmies. There were four rivers, and they were four-headed watercourses that were sluiced, so they could control the water coming in and out of the land. Because obviously, you've got too much water, it's going to flood. You haven't got enough water, then you need to let water in. And these four rivers, because the River Seager, although it's not a full river now, it's only Brent Broad or Brent Reen, that is still sluiced. You have to sluice these reens and ditches so that when it rains too much, you can let the water out so it doesn't flood. So you've got four rivers, all of them sluiced off the main one river. And here we've got Axe, Seager, or what was the Seager, the Parrot, and the Brew, and all four of them are sluiced. They're all sluice-headed watercourses. The Lord God commanded the man, saying, "Okay, of every tree of the garden thou mayst freely eat, but the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die." Now there you go. That's a good point, actually. So it's saying here, if you eat the fruit that day, you shall surely die. Let's see how this goes on, because it's clearly saying, if you eat the fruit, you will die. Does it not? It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him and help meet for him. Out of the ground the Lord formed every beast of the field, every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. Adam gave names to all the cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an help meet for him. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs, and closed the flesh inside thereof. The rib which the Lord God had taken from man, he made a woman, and brought her unto the man. Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of a man." Well, also, a woman is a man with a womb, or it was. Leave it at that. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave into his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, and the man and his wife were not ashamed. There we go. So we're going to chapter 3. Now, I'm going to wet my whistle before I talk about that. So the point I'm making is that straight away we've got four-headed watercourses feeding the garden, and you've got that here. That's just the first comparison, which I found quite interesting. I don't know how many different rivers and that would do that and then all be sluiced. The serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, "Ye hath God said, Ye shall not eat fruit of every tree of the garden." And the woman said unto the serpent, "We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die." So, once again, it's saying she will die. Poisonous. And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, and your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired, to make one wise, she took the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave unto her husband with her, and he did eat. So they've both eaten this fruit, and at the moment, hey, there we go. Squirrel sniping is what we're talking about, because right where paradise is, there was the grove as well. So they've both eaten this fruit, and they're both alive. They haven't died instantly. Oh, they do die, do they? The eyes of them both were open. They heard the voice of the Lord God. Oh no, sorry. Eyes of them were both opened, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. They heard the voice of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord God amongst the trees in the garden. The Lord God called out to Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? Hey, Jax, how you doing? All right, Brian? Thanks for coming along, guys. Where art thou? He said, I heard in the garden. I was afraid because I was naked and hid myself. And he said, Who told thee that thou wast naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded that thou shalt not eat? So once again, in it, and they haven't died. The woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. So Adam's blaming his missus straight away. What a man. Well, it was what happened. The Lord said unto the woman, What is that thou hast done? And the woman said, The serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And the Lord God said unto the serpent, Because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly thou shalt go, and dust shalt thou eat all of the days of thy life. So he's saying that he made the serpent become the way the snake goes along on its belly. Well, I don't know what it was like before that. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. And sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Now, as we go on through that, they were basically booted out of the garden. Here we go. The Lord God said, Behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil. Now, see, become one of us. One of us. I thought he was the only one. So they're saying that they have become like him. But if there's us, it means there's more than one God. So straight away in the Bible, it clearly says, God said, Behold, the man is become one of us. That's plural, surely. So straight away, God is proving that there was more than one God, which would be a pagan thing, because a monotheistic religion, you've only got one God. I don't know what all these people have been doing all this time, where they're trying to explain or talk about the pantheon of gods, but in the book it clearly says it. You'll become one of us. So they've become gods. He drove out the man and placed at the east of the garden cherubims, flaming sword which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. Now, as you go from there, it brings in where you have Cain and Abel and the whole story of Cain and Abel. But as you look through the Bible, if you type in references to the Garden of Eden, on this bit, it's only in the garden, you've got these physical things. So the garden is at the foot of Mount Sion, which is, or what I'm calling the Mount of Frogs. which the garden is at the foot of Mount Zion. As you look at it, you've got this revolving sword of light, and right by where the garden is, you've got a huge lighthouse, which is a revolving sword of light. In the church in Burnham, there was an altarpiece from Westminster Abbey, which is the ultimate of the highest churches in the land, with Yahweh's name, or the Tetragrammaton. It also has the cherubs, physical cherubs, and the cherubs guard the garden. So you've got cherubs, you've got Yahweh, you've got the sword, you've got the Mount Sion, which is the Mount of Frogs, and my depiction of it. But also it talks about a fountain of youth, which in Burnham there's a fountain because Burnham had the finest water in the whole of the land of a spring, which no one knows about. It's been covered up. I mean, all these things make for a pretty good tourist. Yeah, pretty good tourist hotspot. And for a tourist hotspot, none that's being talked about, which I can't understand. I can't understand why. Must be a reason behind it. But also, you've got the 4 rivers. All 4 rivers are sluiced, feeding off of one river. We've got that as well. Also, they talk of a colony. There was a big building there still called the colony, and it also talks of a labyrinth for a maze. And there's a house there called the Puzzles, which was a puzzle garden. It was a maze. So all of these things are in the Bible that make up the garden, and all of those things are in this square mile paradise. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that it is the original garden because there's lots of talk of the rather than an east to west movement of civilization, it was west to east. And I don't really think you can argue with that too much. When you look at how old the stuff is in this country, why are you talking about Neolithic stuff like, I mean, Stonehenge ain't anywhere near the oldest one. You've got much older stuff. And the further north you go, you've got Orkney and that stuff's even older, they reckon. Proving a civilization is way older than the stuff you get, even than Egypt and everything, much older. And from this, who's this not? I'll send the boys on. So the stuff I've been, Woodhenge. Woodhenge is a lot older, and there's one at Standrew as well, which is not very far from there. So I don't know how they can ever say that it will come from the east because there's clearly a civilization, a thoughtful, smart, clever, mathematical, astronomical civilization, because all the stuff aligns and it's all astronomical. Every single one of them, they're all to do with from the heavens above or above the firmament, as you might call it. So I mean, all the stuff we put together, there's quite a decent argument, I think, for the west to east movement, not the east to west movement, because there was already a civilization here a long time before the stuff in the east. So there you go. But we've got 39 minutes, so I'm going to take this forward to 45 minutes, and then I'm probably going to knock it on the head. But I am pretty pleased that there's 13 people in there and 7 likes, which is 13 more likes and people and 7 more likes than what usually I've got on lives in the past. But I just wanted to open it up so I can sort of start the ball rolling, because it's taken me 3 years to put anything together, and every time something's happened which has just knocked me off my touch with it all. Thank you, Layla. So maybe by doing this live, I'll sort of put some of it together, and what I'll try and do is correlate some pictures and everything so people can see a bit better what I'm talking about. it's not so easy when you do everything on your phone. But yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you all coming along because there's definitely something big. Yeah, I need to go to bed too, Tracy. Um, I, there's a big story here, and it needs to be more heard because there must be a reason why somewhere which is a tourist base isn't using. I mean, can you actually think of any two bigger stories or bigger legends than the Holy Grail and King Arthur? There ain't many. I don't think, if there is any at all. So, uh, I'll wrap it up on 45 minutes. Yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate you all coming along. Um, being a bit different. It's good doing streams. It's not quite as good as what stuff our great friend London McLovin's doing because of the StreamYard and the way that you can all sort of come in on it as well. But I'll be definitely doing some more work where this is next Saturday. Well, I will do my best to be there, Tracy. I've had a bit of a not being things haven't been going as quite as planned, so to make those things. But I will do my best to be there. I'll get Rob to come as well because we do enjoy that stuff. And Hopi prophecies are fascinating things. Not too sure what else to say, but yeah, watch this space. Thanks for coming along. And I mean, this is a bit. Yeah, exactly. There you go. You got all sorts of things, the Magi, Grail lines, the Stargates. This is going to open up into a pretty, yeah, what a mate, pretty big story. Yeah, I mean, FPV Angels, some of the stuff they talk about, it all links together. Um, but the stuff I've been literally, even just over the last week, once I can get it in physical form, I will be showing everyone just how special this little pocket of the UK is and how it's connected to some pretty cosmic things, shall we say. And yeah, there you go. So I'll say peace out on that one, guys. That's it, mate. That's it. It's all. We'll do our little bit. I mean, some people will think of what I've just spoken of. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I mean, even that ley line bit, what I'm saying about Wembley, Hinkley Point, and even where the garden is itself, literally the road coming off of it is called Shelley Drive, and it was only until I walked past it where I realised that Shelley was L-E-Y, not L-Y. So I was like, wow, this is starting to become pretty much guaranteed what I've unearthed there because why we, I mean, could have called it anything that road, but they called it Shelley Drive. So there you go. Anyway, respect to you all, and I'm sure I'll see you knocking around these streets over the next couple of weeks, mostly in London's streams because they're the hub of it all. Oh, so you know Tracy as well, Jax? Yeah, see, Tracy knows everyone. Tracy's top banana as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much, Tracy. There you go. I'm sorry it went a bit longer. I mean, I've done all right for 45 minutes. I'll try and plan it a bit better next time. This was off the cuff. I just thought, you know what, no one's doing a live tonight. So I'll see what I can do with it. And once again, appreciate all the guys who have come in, and I'll move it on next time so I can. Thank you. Hey, have you? No way. I'll tell you what, Jax. I love that video because I've caught a couple of these Kembos, which are like vertical rainbows, which I didn't know what the hell it was all about until I found out that it was like it was created by these the girls. The residual stuff that's like hanging down is what the sun shines off of. So yeah, well done for that, Jax, because I know it's difficult putting stuff up about chemtrails. I think that the key is not to put chemtrail in it anywhere. Then they don't stick a Wikipedia link and stop everyone who might have seen it from seeing it. So anyway, Rainbow Warriors, peace. Ciao for now.